All right, everybody, welcome back to Azizi Podcast. Today we have a special guest, a guest that I know for more than 15 years, and actually a little less than 15 years, but still, you were the first, kind of like one of the first real friends that I've met in the United States. Andrey Chabanov, welcome to the podcast.
How's it going? Thanks for having me, Samir.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. We've been planning to do this for a while. I feel like the first time we tried to do this was like a year ago, but then that just the schedule didn't allow us to do that. But I'm very happy that we finally had some time to do this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, of course. And just a little bit background to our listeners and viewers. We've met for the first time in Santa Barbara, California, where I came from Kazakhstan, and I was learning English there back then. That was in 2009. I think I was 17 years old, and yeah, like through friends, just randomly we've met, and then like we ended up going to the same school at UC Santa Barbara, and that was a cool experience as well, and became really, really good friends. So that's definitely like for me, it's like always great when you know people for so long and they become your real friends, as we say from the old country, not like the Western type of friend, but like the real one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh,
Trying to give you
well,
some compliments, brother.
yeah, no, but 100%. We definitely had a lot of stories together, a lot of cool things that we've done, a lot to talk about. So tell me what you want to talk about today.
I wanted to talk about you because I know you're doing some big things in crypto right now, and I, being in crypto myself, working for some companies in crypto and co-founding Toronto DAO. I am still very much in the industry, so I want to make sure that my finger is on the pulse. I've been observing you lately. You are venturing out on your own. You have some partners. You're on some entrepreneur mentality right now. So that's fascinating to me as well. So that's why I wanted to kind of talk to you and see, where you are right now, what you're thinking about, what you're looking for. But before that, I wanted to ask you, how did you get in to crypto?
Sure, yeah, and I think as far as entrepreneur mentality, sometimes I wish I didn't have it just so I could have a job and cruise and enjoy uh, life a little bit more outside of working 24/7. But hey, I love it and I do enjoy it. So it's so yeah, can complain. But yeah, so a little bit about my background. Um,
Before you start, I just want to actually agree with you
oh,
that it's the entrepreneur life is a shit life. Like it's just like you're just basically there hoping for the best, you're taking your chances. And it's like Nassim Taleb said, monthly salary is like the drug, right? Cocaine and monthly something like that is just like one of the most addictive drugs. And that's the thing. Like I wish I could be like that as well, where I can just go to job 9 to 5, be happy, climb the career ladder and just be done with it, right? And then just take a vacation like a couple times a year and that's it. Life is good. But it's just something that's not agreeing with me as well, just simply genetically, I would say. Anyways, I just wanted to give you props for just acknowledging that as well.
yeah, no, for sure. I can't sit still, as you can notice. Actually, I keep moving. So,
It's all good.
uh, but yeah, that I agree 100%.
But let's continue. So, how did you start in crypto? You mentioned it kind of like went all the way far back. So let's get there.
Yeah. So I mean, a little bit more background. I think it's important. I started my career at Wells Fargo, and that really, I mean, I've always been passionate about finance and banking, and with the first job at Wells Fargo, really got to know a lot about banking and how a lot of the banks use software that's 20 years old. So not not great, but it was a natural. So I got my math degree for I studied statistical science with concentration and probability theory at UC Santa Barbara, and that uh, technical knowledge and my bit passion for banking kind of naturally pushed me into the fintech space. And for me, at the core of fintech is really payments, blockchain, and really what is crypto. So yeah, it was a natural progression of me going after college. I started working as a software engineer. Worked for a number of years on a number of
Wait, hold on a
startups.
second. What do you mean software engineer? Like, I know you were studying like math, statistics, and economics with me in college. How did you learn how to code?
So actually, shout out to my brother Slava, who's probably the most talented engineer that I know. He, yeah, so he's been a software engineer for as far as I can remember him, just from hacking into black and white Nokia phones back way back when. But no, he really motivated me into looking into software engineering, and he was there to guide me through the process and stay up
So
until
your brother
four.
taught you, huh?
So he definitely taught me a lot about software engineering. I did do a coding bootcamp as well, but the amount that I learned from Slava is so much more than what the bootcamp could teach me. So yeah, that I did that about 6 months after graduating from UCSB. But there was a lot of just fundamental computer science courses that I had to take for my undergrad.
Right.
And that's how I got into software engineering. Um, and yeah, so
Uh-huh.
that's my software
And so
engineering
how
background.
how did you get into working as an engineer, like professionally? What was your kind of like first experience?
So frankly, I was so I guess going back. So after college, I learned how to code, started working as a software engineer, was working on a couple of startup projects with different people. There was an app for attorneys that we did. Actually, my last year in college, my brother and I, we actually started a startup called Trelp. And
I remember that. I remember
right,
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so a lot of people
What was
used
it?
it.
What was it about? Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, I think we built amazing technology. We built really good, I guess good technology and a good product, but we didn't know how to monetize it. The idea there was that it was last mile navigation for truck drivers, and uh, it was a very cool map where you could draw the direction. So imagine you're a truck driver running a 50 whatever like a big trailer 18 wheeler, and you need to make a delivery somewhere downtown LA, New York, whatever. A wrong turn can really cost you a lot of time, but
Hmm.
stress, and really often money. So we put together a crowdsourcing platform where drivers and other people are able to add last mile directions to make sure that it's optimized. Looking back, and that was about 10 years ago that we started that and worked on it. Looking back, if we were to continue the path, we would have gathered so much data and would have been so useful for autonomous driving today.
Yeah.
We had that in mind, but we couldn't see the future so far out.
Well, listen, the fact that you guys started this app, you published this app, and it was, functional at that time. I believe that was like 2013 or something like that, 2014.
14 was
At that time, yeah, this was definitely the perfect time. At least you made your move. I had my companies as well in 2013, but unfortunately, we didn't get to the publishing part of it, right? So we kind of like just fall apart before that. So one of the regrets, of course, but the fact that you went through that and you had that experience so early, especially, and those were good times. It was like a 50-50 chance. You could have actually raised millions out of that, right? It's just like it was all depending, but the times were crazy back then. I think that deserves a lot of respect. So just wanted to
Oh,
say that.
thank you very much. Yeah, no, I think it was an amazing product. We released Android app. We had thousands of users, but I think due to inexperience and sort of, I guess lack of, experience, maybe some business acumen at that time, we didn't know how to monetize it. And even with all the users, we added so many features. It's like we would add some sort of a feature, and then um, Google Maps would release it like 3 months later. I'm not saying that they're stealing from us. I'm saying that we were just on the right track.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
um
Um, so listen, let me ask you this. What was the main lesson you learned from this experience, from having this app and, publishing and trying to monetize and all?
I think don't overthink monetizing, because we had the following, we had the media coverage, the trucking websites kept writing about us. We had a lot, like we had actually had a really good following, because 10 years ago, apps were not as easy to pump out as they are now. So it was a cool concept, very helpful for the industry. And I think it is still an underserved industry. But yeah, the key takeaway is roll out the slimmest MVP possible, and get customer feedback. Get customer feedback, uh, improve, and
Iterate. Yeah.
iterate, and then monetize it as soon as possible. So looking back now, it's like, okay, well, we could do ads. We could do like ads is just, we had, I think, about, I want to say 10,000 active users, or like 10,000 users, maybe. I don't know, but like it was in the thousands, which was very,
Impressive.
very impressive for us, right? If we were to literally inject a little bit of a little banner that would do advertisement, and like all of that is pretty easy to do, we could have already been monetizing that time. And I think especially when you're so young and so early on,
Yeah.
it's very inspirational, even if you make $10. So
Oh
that
yeah.
just, okay, well, it's actually making
So
money.
so you guys didn't do this just because you were not aware that that's possible, just like put in a bunch of banners in there?
We were we just didn't.
Mhm.
I think a number of reasons, but one of the main ones is because we were going for the home run, and we wanted to just make it as large, as big as possible. We wanted to make sure that everybody's aware of it, and then we would do like some sort of a $15 subscription for our data. But that's not like that. It turns out that wasn't the key offering. The key offering was the other data that was provided, not the last mile navigation. But anyway, so a lot of lessons learned there. But the key takeaway is ship the simplest MVP, get customers, get customer feedback, and go from there. Really iterate the product.
Okay, so didn't work out. You moved on. What happened next? Like, where does Andrey Chabanov goes from there?
Places. No, so that startup was called Trelp, and Trucking Help. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so we decided to cut the cord on that, and decided to move on. After that, I got a job at I was working on a few projects. I had a small gig doing a like some database stuff for an events company. But fast forward, I got into like really got rolled up my sleeves in the crypto space. It was
What was your first
20,
encounter with crypto?
2017. I mean, I did some crypto here and there, even back at UCSB, when it was just whatever. But it wasn't. I wish, obviously, I wish that it was different. I would obviously.
Yeah, my
I wish.
friend Aksai, our friend Aksai told me like he was buying some stuff with Bitcoin at that time, and that was like a normal thing at the time, but it's just like for a very niche kind of consumer product, I would say.
Right, right. Yeah, we can.
Um, and
So
if only he knew, right? Like that he could just save some of that. But anyways, 2017. All right, let's go.
2017. So and through the whole time, I try to stay up to date with the space. Obviously, a lot of going back and forth and how legitimate it is. I did have all of the accounts with Binance.com, and as these exchanges were coming out, um, I would register, and I try to buy it. Usually, if you track my trades, you can exit the position as soon as I buy, because usually it just takes right after I buy.
Oh yeah,
So
that's how it goes usually. Same with me
uh,
in Robinhood. It's just very sad. Like when I look at my transactions in 2015, like if I just like did not sell, I would already have thousands and thousands of dollars just extra.
Yeah. So my first most exciting when I went full force into crypto was a 2017 company called Coinstarter. The idea there was it was a social media platform that combined Facebook and Kickstarter.
I'm sorry. So
So
Coinstarter, like you got a job there?
yeah, so it was I was basically one of the founding members slash first hire. It was a cool product. The guys just raised some capital. They hired me as the first person, and so I built out the engineering team. I built out the marketing team, and we were able to help about 150 ICOs launch. So what we did is a social media platform where clients can onboard and they can list their ICO, and then there was a lot of thousands of people on the platform, and they were able to participate in the ICO. So I remember us doing a Coinbase integration just as Coinbase was rolling out their APIs for wallets, and so we integrated that, and it was like a huge thing. So
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Coinbase
yeah,
was the app to like onboard normies to crypto, like including myself. I remember in 2017 seeing you already working on those ICOs and stuff. I was like, holy shit, like Andrey is really like, he's on top of everything. Like I was like very impressed. I remember seeing that on your like LinkedIn or something like that. It was like you're already there in the industry.
yeah, no, I tried. Unfortunately, well, I mean, ICOs are kind of looked at differently now, even though they just morphed into something else and they're still happening. But at that time, it was very not clear on how that will be regulated. And
Now you just call them like you just call this whole thing tokenomics. Just say
tokenomics,
tokenomics and don't say
exactly.
ICO. Yeah.
Yeah. Before it was a white paper and they sent it, and but it was a really cool experience because I believe we launched about 150 ICOs through our platform. A lot, some projects seem promising, some and I believe some of them are still around. So I guess that's the good part. Um, yeah, so it was a very cool experience. It was really at the forefront of innovation. Did that for, I think, officially for a little over a year, but then there was more involvement after that. But yeah, I mean, fast forward, crypto winter happens. And by the way, I was getting paid in Ethereum at that time. So,
Let me guess, you sold all of that.
of course, I had to pay rent. I was barely, yeah, barely making it work. But
Mhm.
anyway, yeah. So crypto winter happens. Coin started kind of slows down on the on the traction, and we had to basically ship it off and button it up and pass it on to a different company. But so yeah, that's when we entered crypto winter, and I was broke, really out of job, out of the source of income, and that was the end of the cycle.
Exactly. That was the first bull market for you.
Yeah.
So then what happened? You were broke. You were like, how did you see crypto after that? Like you felt like the thing is over? Like it was like, okay, that was just like a fad, like it's not gonna coming back. It's not gonna come back. Or like what was your what was your sentiment about this whole thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, the sentiment was, I mean, no matter how experienced you are, I think anytime you lose money, you are just kind of butthurt. And you're like, F this industry, F this whole thing. But I mean, but I was actually a true believer in the technology. I to this day I actually think that unfortunately tokenization that you mentioned, I think it has a lot of potential. I don't think a lot of meme coins, for example, add value, but at the core, the blockchain technology is an amazing solution, and it's the future of how the data is going to be stored. So with that being said, I did so after Coinstarter, I decided to take a pause from anything tech related, and from all of my experience that I learned from Trelp, from the trucking industry and logistics, I actually founded my logistics company, and which actually surprisingly did extremely well. But at that time,
Would you be able to talk more about that in terms of finances and financials? Because I feel like a lot of listeners and viewers will be curious about, like, because we have a lot of people who are interested in that, like logistics and tracking.
Yeah, I think there is actually a book by Paul Orlando. He's a professor at USC, and we're actually doing his incubator right now. His book is called Why Now, and in that book, he talks about timing. He talks about the analysis that you need to perform on why right now is the right time to go into the business or not. And there's actually a really detailed breakdown, which I really enjoyed. But with that being said, as far as the logistics industry, I don't think right now is the time. So we, on average, a driver could make, when I started my company, it was about like end of 2019, I believe. An average driver could make 10 to 15,000 if you hustle $15,000 a month. Very high numbers, but if you don't hustle 10,000, a week, so 10 to $15,000 a week, and which is a lot of money. That's for crazy. Someone who drives truck,
right? Who's like not white collar, basically, office worker.
Right. So now, fast forward 4 years, 5 years, almost 5 years, the average revenue went from 10 to 15 to 5 to 7. Meanwhile, all of the prices, because fuel prices nearly doubled, insurance prices went up, so all of the prices went up. The revenue the drivers are able to make went down, and so the profits are getting squeezed, and I wouldn't touch that industry right now unless there is a creative way to go about it, which there always are. There's ways to do it. For example, one of the ways that I supplemented income with my trucks when I was running, it's called 770 Logistics. I actually installed Ethereum miners in my trucks, and it was a cool experience.
Wait, so frankly, how did it work? You installed the miners, and were they working off like cars, like accumulator, or like what's battery?
Well, I mean, big rigs, they have an outlet for just like a regular outlet. So and I actually, well, with Slava, my brother, we built this janky old desktop. We remodeled it, and we put some GPUs in there and started mining back when Ethereum was like $300. So
you were driving those trucks and at the same time using those trucks to mine Ethereum.
Right.
Listen, that's a story in itself. Should be a podcast in itself, honestly.
That's there we crazy. Go. No, it was so I try to stay involved and I try to stay relevant, and it actually, I try to measure how much more fuel it consumes, and if it was cost effective. It wasn't really cost effective, but it was fun, and it's something that helped me stay involved with the space. And I was talking to one of my good friends about it, and at the peak of me running the trucking company, he was actually one of the founding members at iTrustCapital, and that's how I got involved with iTrustCapital.
So let's talk about iTrustCapital and just your current projects, because we have 10 minutes right now, and we want to make sure that we're mindful of our time. So how did you start with iTrust? What is iTrust? And let's go from there as well.
Yeah, so iTrust, I got recruited by my friend Henry. At that time, iTrust was just starting out. They actually, Henry's also a gaucho.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, ole.
yeah. So yeah, we used to work at Wells Fargo together, and um, yeah. So he told me about. I was working at Coinstarter. He was working on a few crypto projects, and then they started iTrustCapital. And as soon as iTrust was basically getting started, he reached out to me and he was like, "You have to join iTrust." And I kind of laughed at him and I was like, I'm making more money than I ever imagined I would be able to, because I already had a number of trucks. I already had a pretty well-oiled machine that was making me money. And
Literally.
actually, yeah, and there's it was I was pretty happy, and after number of years of failed startups, it felt good finally,
Hmm.
and but I gotta yeah, I gotta give it to Henry. He kept reaching out to me for a couple of months and trying to convince me to join iTrust, and I was like, it will be a change of gears, but I think logistics is always going to be there, and crypto is all
It's the future.
it's back. So yeah, it's back and it's the future. So I decided to take a what is it leap of faith, and so I hired a few guys to make sure that the logistics company is going to continue operating, and I transitioned to iTrust. So I transitioned to um, a very small team, and
Let me ask you two questions. What is the most like exciting thing that you're doing in iTrustCapital? And just for those who don't know, iTrustCapital is a crypto IRA company. What was the most exciting thing that you kind of like did and learned from that? And then how did you decide to kind of like go to your next step in your crypto journey?
Right. Yeah. So iTrust was basically the one of the first companies to put Bitcoin or crypto asset inside of a retirement account, and there's a lot of benefits, and everybody should research it and really make do the research on the retirement accounts and the benefits of trading inside of your retirement account. But I so that was the innovation that iTrust did, and when I joined, I was able to, and I had a lot of there was so much because the product had so much more improvements that we could do, and we did, and onboarded tens of thousands of clients, processed about $9 billion in transaction volume. It's all public information, but yeah, so one of the most innovative things that I was particularly passionate about at iTrust when I was there is we rolled out a beta of staking inside of an IRA, and again, that was an innovative solution that hasn't been done before. Took us a lot of Samir, you got a little bit blurry. Okay, there you go. Yeah, it took a lot of legal hours, a lot of development hours. So, but we figured it out. We got it off the ground. We launched it. It was a cool experience. But so that's just kind of the on the innovation front of iTrust, and we raised 130 million at the reached 1.3 billion valuation, and yeah, I just absolutely crushed it. I really like the team. I really like everyone there. I think the product is amazing. So I definitely I enjoyed my time there, but with the bull run coming up, I just couldn't I couldn't sit still, and I really wanted to innovate and keep building and really take more risk than iTrust is willing to take, which rightfully
I
so.
mean, yeah, it's IRA company, right? They have to be a little conservative.
Right.
They're dealing with Americans' retirement accounts after all.
Exactly. But the amount of stuff that I learned there and that we were able to build there is just amazing. But so yeah, what I did, I put together a small team, and we built a crypto infrastructure as a service, because what we learned, I just really saw the gap in the industry. There's a number of there's a number of companies that it just went under, mainly due negligence. And
What kind of companies?
what's that?
What kind of companies? Are you talking about crypto companies?
Right, yeah. So I mean, yeah, just looking at the past 3 years in the crypto industry, I mean, there's FTX, there is Celsius, Abra, Prime Trust. What else? Oh, there's the Synapse that's happening right now. There's Fortress Trust. All of these companies are they had one core issue, and that issue is reconciliation. And I don't think that they necessarily want to do fraud, or they're bad people, or something like that. But
I'm sorry. Are we talking about irreconciliation in accounting terms?
yeah, so
Uh,
basically, what's on chain needs to be what's in the database. And in the crypto world, in Synapse, they just I don't want to comment on what happened there, but the core issue is very similar. Is that there is negligence when it comes to reconciliation, and companies scale too fast, and they don't worry about the back office. There's a number of banks that I know for a fact still use spreadsheets to reconcile their accounts, and that's not the way to go. So I saw the opportunity in establishing a crypto infrastructure as a service that puts settlement and reconciliation of assets at the forefront of at its core. And
Quick question. Why weren't they reconciling? Like, what's the problem there? I mean, what's the difficulty? I'm just curious, like what's the big deal about reconciling this? What's on chain versus what's in the database?
well, I mean, really, usually it's negligence. What we've seen so far.
So like as in like it was like laziness, you would say, like, or just like incompetence? What's or they trying like companies just don't want to like show some
Well,
stuff?
I think it's hard not to go for the next shiny thing, right? And if you have to worry about the back office stuff, that if you everybody wants to be at the forefront of innovation, but a lot of people forget about the back end that supports it. And yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Uh,
sounds like just companies don't have time to deal with all that accounting stuff, especially if we're dealing with startups and perhaps some founders are just like they don't come from finance world. Like I tell you right now, a lot of people who are listening to us right now, they have no idea what's reconciliation, right? Like I would as a bookkeeper, for example, when I first started, I was reconciling bank accounts, right? Just making sure that all the transactions that happen in our accounting system reflected in the bank statements, and then vice versa, right? So that's kind of like the reconciliation for me. And what you're talking about is basically everything that happened on chain needs to be reflected on like internal accounting systems, because for audit purposes or whatnot, like we're still not on blockchain. The government, the IRS or whatever, they will not be they will not be going through your chain in a way like they will have to see some like gap or whatever standard statements. That's kind of like how I see it. I don't know.
Yeah, the way I look at it is you get liquidity from three LPs, and then you need to make sure that you know where it's coming from. You need to make sure that when you settle, you don't oversend or you don't undersend, especially when you're dealing with clients' assets. Um, so far, the trust companies that have attempted to do any type of there's definitely not outliers, but there are uh, companies like, I mean, Coinbase, Gemini, that have allocated a significant amount of resources to build the reconciliation tools, and they manage to stay out of the news. But when it comes to, there's a number of other trust companies that try to that may not necessarily have the technical expertise to build a sophisticated reconciliation engine, and or just any reconciliation engine. They rely on freshly graduated analysts to make sure that the balances match, and usually that's not a good way to go about it, especially in a high transaction volume business such as blockchain or like any type of trading. So yeah, that's why there's a lot of companies that have failed.
Okay,
So
so
they overpromise on what they can deliver, and they have to keep pushing the innovation faster than they can support it.
that's why I'm a huge fan of under promising and over delivering. UPod for life. So you saw this problem. What happened next? Like how you recognize this problem, and is this something like you felt like you could fix? Like what happened? Like how did you tackle it?
Yeah, so back when we were at iTrust, we spoke to over a dozen trust companies, and what we realized is, well, nobody really has the technology to support the use case, a scalable use case that would be useful for companies like um, iTrustCapital, for example, or there's any number of B2C apps, because all of them need a very similar backend engine, which is create customer, pass KYC, open accounts, buy, sell, hold, and that's really all that the integrator in our case cares about, because they just want it simple. So we abstract the complexities of all of the blockchain stuff, all of the KYC requirements. We handle all of that in house because we know exactly how it works. We worked with some of the leading legal teams to make sure that it's compliant, and we allowed our integrators just to hit our APIs, and then they get a response, success, you're good to go. So does that make sense? And that's why it's important to have this middle layer. We aggregate a number of vendors on our side, but our integrators that come to us, they only integrate with our APIs, and they don't have to worry about, by default they get the best pricing because we are integrated with a handful, whatever, 5 liquidity providers, and we go for the lowest price.
So I'll be honest with you, I think you lost me. But I do want to understand that. So essentially, you guys were like a middleman to kind of to bridge crypto with normies in a way, your customers, right? And you had to like source crypto like for your customers' holdings from somewhere, but you just wanted to make sure that it's all kind of regulated and was according to like United States whatever IRA standards. And so you had to do everything in house to make sure everything checks out, everything's reconciled, and it looks pretty in case there is some sort of because you need documentation, or in case of some sort of audit. Is that correct? Like I'm trying to like do like simple terms here, because who needs to understand technically. I think they will get it, but like people who don't understand, I just want to make sure they understood like your idea behind it.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to understand it, they feel free to reach out to me, and
But is
we can.
that like did I kind of understood it correctly, or?
Yeah, so Trustek is the name of the company, and it's crypto infrastructure as a service. So just to give like a broad example, like possibly our use case that a lot of people understand. Let's look at credit unions. Credit unions want to retain users, retain deposits, attract new users, and make revenue. I think there's literally the 4 main drivers for every financial institutions or any business in general.
Okay.
One of the ways to do that is by offering new products and services to their members, or whatever, if it's a small bank or financial institution, to their clients.
For example, invest in crypto, right? Something like that.
Yeah, and they can invest in crypto, but how do they do it within that financial institution's ecosystem?
Right. I'm a bank. I'm a credit union. I want to dip my toes in crypto and offer that as a product to my customers, right? That's the kind of a thing for them. That's the problem for them, right?
Right. Yeah. They can plug into our APIs, and then we power all of the crypto vertical for them. So the client, they can use their own front end UI, or they can actually inject our little widget, 4 lines of code, and they get access to crypto. Yeah, so basically they integrate with us, and now within a week or two, they can roll out crypto offerings to their clients. That's going to just do the 4 things that I mentioned. It's going to help them retain deposits, retain customers, because now their customers are not going to platforms like Coinbase, which again, I think Coinbase is great, but the bank has its own interests, right?
And
And
just to like, so Coinbase does not offer this service to the banks?
Coinbase, uh, I mean, they can, but there's not their main focus, right? I think Coinbase has been doing a lot of development
I guess what I'm
on
trying to say is like, what's your competitive market is? Like, what's your, who are your like competitors right now? Is that, because it sounds amazing, right? You basically kind of switch on the crypto access and you can use, sorry, you said your company is, what's your company name?
Trustek.
Say it again.
Trustek.
Trustek. Okay, so you started Trustek to enable businesses offer crypto services, crypto products, and everything crypto related. I guess it's just like credit union is one example, but I'm sure there's more use cases for that. But what Trustek is offering right now is an easy onboarding. It's kind of like a B2B service in a way for businesses. I'm assuming in the United States to basically have access to the crypto market and offer that service as a product for their end consumer, end customer. And it sounds amazing. It sounds like it's a very kind of straightforward thing to do. So and that's why I'm like, is there other like competitors that are not doing this right now? Do you have like do you try like, are you trying to like beat someone right now at the game, or like what's the outlook there?
Yeah,
Because it
I
sounds
mean,
amazing. I'm just saying this sounds amazing. This sounds pretty good. If I'm a bank and I just want to like offer my customers like extra crypto services or whatever, there's like a lot of people are interested right now. They want to like make sure that they have some action going on, right? I mean, that sounds like an easy decision, for assuming everything's regulated and up to the code, like to get you guys on boarded. So I mean, that's why I'm curious, what's
well, nothing is an easy decision for a bank or a credit union or a regulated financial institution. So the sales cycle there is extremely long, and the integration is usually extremely long as well. So with the technology that we build, we started out reaching to those larger financial institutions, and then we realized that, okay, well, it's going to take forever. So, but we need to show numbers, and we need to start making revenue ASAP. So we kind of broadened our outreach, and we had good feedback, good interest from a few companies, mainly crypto on and off rampers, because that's, I think there's a number of on rampers that are amazing marketers, but nobody knows the back end, and nobody knows exactly how it works. That's
Mhm.
why there's only a few companies that can support that
Yeah.
can power.
And I feel
And
like you coming from crypto IRA industry, which is highly regulated, of course, you have that kind of experience where you basically see what other people don't see in a way,
exactly.
because of your experience. Yeah. Okay.
And we're because we built it in house, we can lower the fees for on ramping in particular by almost 40%.
And
So
that's crazy. That's crazy. And I'm assuming like you have access to liquidity as well. If I mean, if let's say like some sort of institution or client, basically, let's call it a customer, wants to use your services, they get connected to you, they plug into you, and then you kind of figure out where to get the crypto, right? In other words, in the simple language.
right, yeah, they hit our APIs. They tell what they want. They tell us how much they want, and we use our liquidity partners to make sure that we can fill the trade. Um, yeah, obviously it's not all of the assets under the sun, but we have majority of the main ones.
The big ones, crypto like Ethereum and Bitcoin, like let's say.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have about 150 that can support right now.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. And so
Uh,
what is the I don't know, like because I know you've been around for conferences, you were sourcing feedback and customer feedback as well, and you've gained some publicity. Um, like, tell me a little bit about your recent venture into like big crypto events and big conferences, because I know you guys did some great publicity work, and got some prizes. So I'm curious about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So that's actually on the note of us trying to go to market faster without having to wait for the long
Yeah,
sales
and
cycle.
please don't feel pressure to say anything that you think is too early to say. So yeah, up to you if you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, no. So we actually so we were thinking about the ways for us to roll out a some sort of a test for not a test, but it's like, well, we what we realized is Trustek backend that we have, it's it's well suited to service any type of a client. So um
So we're talking like big clients and small clients, that kind of like that kind of types. Like in terms
so,
of when you say any type of client, you mean like there are
oh,
like institutional, clients, and then there are just like some small companies and or just like an individual, that type of client, or
yeah,
what are you talking about?
Trustek is B2B, ideally B2B2C, and it's perfect for anyone who wants to offer crypto to their clients. We had a couple of crypto on-rampers coming to us that want to use our services, and that's, I think that's going to be our target audience, because I think it's an ambitious group, and I think that these people in particular do the right thing, and they help to put more fiat into the ecosystem, which really drives the adoption of DeFi, of really Web3 in general. And so that's kind of, I think that's going to be our sweet spot. We played around uh, with the Telegram chatbot that's powered by Trustek backend to do on ramping. It's really first of one of a kind solution. It's called Ramp Me Daddy, and the idea there is that you send a text message and you get crypto on ramp. The MVP is almost finished up with that. It will be getting released shortly, so stay tuned. I'll let you know when it is out. But yeah, it's powered by Trustek backend. We've gotten a lot of good feedback. There's a number of protocols that want to work with Ramp Daddy and that want to use their services just because it's easy. It's easy and the fees are lower than average,
You're
which
being a
in my
little you're being a little
it's
modest there, because I've been reading in the crypto press that you guys got the third place at the hackathon. I believe it was consensus, if or
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
presented your B2C kind of project as well, and why don't you like just kind of like talk a little bit about that? How was that for you and for your team as well? Because I think that's huge. Consensus is one of the biggest conferences in the world for crypto, and to get the third place at the hackathon, I feel like it must be a giant amount of validation for you guys as well.
Yeah, 100% validation. We've been doing hackathons for, I don't know. I think my first one was over 10 years ago, at Money 2020 in Las Vegas. It was sponsored by PayPal. Did not get a third place there, but I still built a pretty cool product. Looking back now, again, so many ways that we could have improved it, so many ways that we could have done better. But I think what really what was the key piece of our hackathon product right now in this at Consensus is that it was easy. And imagine the world where you can send money or global remittance or just on ramp crypto, buy crypto, as simple as sending a text message.
Just like my
And,
accounting, actually, your accounting professor as well said. Remember what's his name? His not last name. His nickname was Bud. He's like the KISS principle: keep it simple, stupid.
right, right. There you
Remember
go.
that? Yeah.
You probably paid a little bit more attention than I did
Yeah.
in the
Listen,
accounting.
hey, I know we're kind of running out of time. My last question to you in terms of Trustek, how's the regulatory environment for you guys? Is this something you have to deal with? Is this something that you were able to maneuver or still in process? Is it something you guys think about at all? Because I know you come from the regulatory environment yourself. So why don't you speak a little bit about that um, before we conclude this?
Yeah, as of right now, Trustek is positioned as a technology layer only, and that allows us to operate without having to undertake any expensive regulatory initiatives. So that's how we're going to operate for the time being. But stay tuned, and we'll let you know as we potentially go after licensing. But I think staying compliant and being upfront and honest with the regulators is the key for success in this industry. If you try to hide something, usually it will come out sooner or later, because I mean, SEC, if you do something wrong right now, if you sell unregistered securities or whatever, SEC is not going to knock you in the door tomorrow, and they're not going to say, "Oh, you did XYZ." But in time, give it a year, 2, 3, 4 years, they will get around to it, and they will probably take action, which I
So
think is,
the moral is don't cut any corners, right?
don't cut corners. There's usually a way that's not extremely expensive, through a partnership, through some sort of a creative brainstorming way. Make sure that you are compliant. Work with a good attorney that can provide an opinion letter that actually goes a long way. So yeah, it's don't cut corners, and make sure that you before you go live and really take clients' money, make sure you get a green light from your legal. Not to, but there has to be a very healthy balance, because legal will always be overly cautious. So you have to. It's like a push and pull, and you have to meet in the middle where they're comfortable enough, and you can make it happen without heavy capital investment.
That's true. That's true. Well, Andrey Chabanov, thank you so much for being on the podcast. How can our listeners and viewers reach out to you, find your company? Why don't you give us any links or handles that they can find you at?
Yeah, Andrey Chabanov on LinkedIn. I'll
I'll
send it.
drop the link.
Also, I am getting more active on my X, and so following there would be great. But
Don't get
not
active with your exes. Don't do that.
yeah, not sure you'll see a lot of great content coming in there yet, because I'm still trying to figure out the strategy there. So, but yeah, thanks for having me, Samir. It was great. We should. It's been a long time coming, and we should do this more often.
Thanks so much, Andrey, co-founder of Trustek. Appreciate you. Shout out to your brother Slava as well. And definitely, I hope you will visit us in Toronto soon. We have a lot of conferences coming up in the next year. We have Futurist Blockchain in August of this year, and Consensus is going to Toronto in 2025. So I will definitely see you in my part of the world. Thanks everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to rate us, 5-star reviews, likes, and of course, subscribe on YouTube. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.